These are the stories behind your favorite Disciple songs. All of the rest. Till the day I die. Till the day I die. Till the day I die, I'll be radical.
Well, here we are again.
Different
What are you guys
clothes.
doing here? Wow, it's good to see you. I just walked in here and there you were.
Me and Kevin have this thing where we hang out all day, every day.
Oh man,
So, just on Skype.
how much does that cost for me to sign up?
To hang out with me and Joey?
Yeah.
It's
You
free.
couldn't afford it.
Oh, it's two different answers.
Great
Two totally.
Yeah. That's how poor I am that it's free and I still can't afford it. I need to get paid for it to be able to fit my budget. So here we are to talk about Radical. This is a song that
Nice touch.
that was great. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we might have played this song at every show since we first started playing it.
Yep.
I'm almost certain that
There may have been an acoustic show where we didn't play it.
possibly, but I think along with Dear X, we probably haven't skipped a full band show.
And some of the shows where we played two sets, like Christmas Rock Night, we would play one night, one set, and then
Oh, yeah.
the next
Okay.
night, another set. So there would be like
Good point. There are times we've been on stage and not played it, but as far,
almost never.
yeah,
Right.
no
Did-
audience has gone without hearing it.
Did
we start playing
It's not leaving the set list anytime soon.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Did we start playing this song early before the album came out? Wasn't it on the Red Tour?
Red Tour.
That's
You're
right. So that would have been in the spring while we were recording the album, I guess. I just realized that I had to put my headphones on because I had audio coming out of the speakers.
So do I.
Okay. It's probably fine. I'm not hearing anything feedback, but
Yeah. Sounds good.
it's probably fine. Anywho, sorry.
Put my ear in just in case.
Yeah, if you don't mind, sorry. We'll leave all this too. People seeing the real.
Apology accepted.
They're really real.
Yeah. Yeah, people, we ain't perfect.
This is not our first rodeo, but it's very close to our first rodeo.
This is what you paid for. The raw, real, behind the scenes disciple that doesn't know what we're doing with technology.
Oh man,
Well, technology hates me. We all know that, right? I mean, that's
Very true.
that's
When you-
true. But you also have a fail-proof method of fixing almost anything.
okay. So these
Yep.
guys spend a lot of time with me, so they know like everything I buy that has electricity going through it. Once I purchase it, it is
Cursed.
honest. It is like immediately faulty. And there's something like interesting. We could go buy the same MacBook Pros, the same
Right.
exact one, and then mine will be doing something just specific to my, and his won't. And then my fix for every single thing. We were driving the bus the other day, and it was like, what? Something starts happening. It just stalls in the middle of the road. We're literally in the middle of the road. What do I do?
Turn it
Off.
off.
Turn it back on. Is it fixed? Yeah. Something happens to the Xbox. What are we going to do? We're going to turn it off. We're going to turn it back on. Satellite's not working. What are we going to do? Basically, the only thing I know how to do.
That's the Nintendo way of fixing things.
Right.
Like
That's right.
you turn it off, you punch the crap out of it, and then somehow it works.
And 60% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah, that's a true stat.
So today we are covering the song Radical and going to give you kind of a behind the scenes look at this song, kind of behind the story, the making of it and everything. And like they said earlier, it's a song that we have played pretty much every single show since we started playing it back in 2014. So
that's a high honor. I think only Dear X falls into that category as well. So
Yep.
True.
So that's really cool.
Dead Militia was up there with it for a while until
It
we
was
took it out recently.
Yeah, we gave it a break.
Yeah.
There are a lot of songs like that are super great live, but we give him a break sometimes, because there's only so many like really high energy songs you can throw into a set if you're wanting it to be diverse. We know this. We've made many diverse set lists, I think, with all the songs we have. So it's like we gave Game On a break for a long time. We've given Scars Remain a break here and there.
And Game On is one that we thought we never would.
Yeah,
It was definitely my call where I was just like, it's time. Let it breathe. Let it go to the sidelines and let it breathe for a minute.
And it was a great call.
Excited about playing it again. Then when we brought it back, it was like, yay!
Yeah,
totally.
It was a great call for sure.
That's a good analogy. Sidelines. That's exactly what it's like. Because it's like you're coming back, but just for now.
Yeah, you're coming back. You need to go sit on the bench for a while. Easter Bunny's been on the bench for 20 years
since Easter of 1990.
It's not coming back.
Yeah.
So Radical, where did it start? Where I can't even remember, honestly. Like, did it start with the music, or I remember Kevin, you saying like you had wanted to write a song like this forever, and you finally found the opportunity to do that. So what was kind of the backstory there?
Actually, a lot of things to talk about in this song because it has a lot of interesting qualities that other songs don't have. One thing, you have to go back to the philosophy of what we were thinking when we were making this album. We just INO Records, which is now called Fair Trade Services. And we just finished our deal with them. And we're debating on whether to re-sign and do another album with them. And decided instead of going that route to do it independently. And so we did the Attack album. We did a licensing deal with Fuel Music. And so this album, it's like we were the record label, we were the artist, we were everything, right? And I had, at this moment in my life, I had felt like that the Oh God Save Us All album in particular was so micromanaged by the A&R department of Fair Trade, where like every lyric was under scrutiny and every, song and what it needs to be about for radio. It was all under the microscope of scrutiny, which is helpful in a lot of cases, but in my case as an artist, I was very burnt out from that and very tired of that and just wanted to say whatever I wanted to say without asking somebody's permission. When you hear...
I was going to say you had been on that label for 5 albums. Is that right at that point?
Southside Scars, Southern Horseshoes, and Oh God, yeah.
So about a decade of almost a decade of this experience, basically, of kind of having to not just being able to write a song and put it on an album.
Yeah, and it was a great experience for the most part. I have a lot of positive things. If people listen to me say that and take away a negative, I have a lot of positive things to say about going through the process of with Fair Trade, of them saying, "Oh, you can do better." This, the Wait Is Over wouldn't exist if they hadn't said that. Into Black wouldn't exist if they hadn't said that. So we had a lot of good experiences with that, but at the same time, for some reason, there was this respect between what we were trying to accomplish for them and then what they would hear us trying to accomplish for ourselves. They'd be like, okay, this is what the band's wanting to do. And I feel like that kind of give and take went away on the Oh God Save Us All album. And it was really more about like the label was driving the ship, way more than we were, and was saying, we want songs that sound like this. We want songs that say this. We want, and I was like.
Sorry, do you see that as a response to the success of Horseshoes and Dear X and Invisible? Do you think that, this is an honest question because I never actually thought about it, but do you think that was ramped up because there was more of a concern of, we could maybe repeat the success of, that record if we do the right things? Or, do you think that was part of the kind of probably maybe their philosophy of tightening the reins, if you will?
I mean, this is definitely inside information, what I'm about to give, but I mean, it's like, I think it's the difference of the owner of the record label being very hands-on on the first 4 albums that we did with them, and then him saying, I don't have time for that. And it wasn't a rejection of us as a band. He's just the president of a record label, and he didn't have time to be the A&R guy. And there was only a handful of bands that he would do that for. Gotcha. And so I think when it switched over to the actual real A&R department, we had never really been handled that way, I guess.
I see.
And so maybe they didn't do anything wrong, or maybe they weren't doing anything out of the ordinary, but I didn't like it.
It wasn't what you were used to.
It wasn't what I was used to. It wasn't I definitely felt like my voice wasn't being heard at all. You know, I mean, there are times, you know, like you guys know, when I would say we wrote a song called The Name, and it's got the lyric like, you know, Prince of Peace, King of Kings. What's the actual lyric, Josiah?
Emmanuel,
God with us,
Prince of Peace.
Prince of Peace, Jesus. You know, the feedback that I got was like, you know, that's kind of cheesy. And I was like,
because this was when you were still sending demos to them to maybe talk about
demos.
maybe doing something together. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, you know, yeah, that's kind of cheesy. And I was like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. You know, I needed to hear them, you know, somebody tell me, you know, that's kind of cheesy, because that was like, I was like, that's why we're not going to work with anybody on this album, because I just want to say what I want to say, and I don't want to ask anybody's permission, and I don't want to, if somebody thinks it's cheesy, fine, it's what I want to say. And I just wanted to write songs about Jesus that we hadn't written in a long time. You know, back when we first started the band, we were very outspoken about our faith, extremely vertical. And this album was almost like recapturing that, you know, instead of trying to be commercial, instead of trying to say something in a way that could sell more records or get played on the radio. Because believe it or not, man, Christian radio doesn't necessarily want you to be that Christian.
Right.
You know, there's something that they consider, you know, on the borderline of cheesy, right? And there are lyrics that are Christian-y that come across what people would consider cheesy, which is so unfortunate, because what's cool and not cool shouldn't matter when we're talking about God, because God is the ultimate. You know, it's not about cool. You know, you can't define God as cool. God's not a style that comes in and goes out. You know, he is, and always will be. And so it's like, when we were writing the song Radical, it was like, I remembered Jesus Freak was the best rock song, the best Christian rock song of all time. But it came out in what, 1990?
95 or 95, I think 95.
Yeah, 94, 95, because I remember it had been 20 years since Jesus Freak when we were putting out Radical, and I was thinking, people who don't know the song Jesus Freak from 20 years ago, they need a song that says, I'm a Christian, I'm in love with Jesus, and I'm not ashamed about it. And like, if you don't like it, I don't care. And it was really my way of saying that to everybody, like, if you don't like these lyrics, I don't care. If you don't like this song, I don't care. If you don't like that I'm a Christian, I don't care. If you don't like the way that I'm talking about Jesus, I don't care. If you don't like, you know, it's like, I don't care. This is what I'm doing, and I don't need your approval, and we're doing this. Yes. And so it was really our song. I wanted to create this kind of like what Jesus Freak did, was create this song where you know, a 15-year-old boy who's going to high school like I was, and who might be getting bullied for being a Christian. I remember getting notes from a guy making fun of me posing as a Satanist, and I didn't put a lock on my locker because I was stupid. So he would just like get into my locker and like put these notes on my locker.
Oh my gosh.
You know, like bullying me, making fun of me for being a Christian, and being, you know, all these kind of things. And it's like, Radical is the perfect song for that kid who says, I don't care what you think. I'm not going to you're not going to like change my mind. You're not going to make me love Jesus less. And so it was a really fun and awesome song to write, just to say, you know, these things, but also in a loving way, to say, like, you know, I still love you. I'm not mad at you because you are different than me, but I'm going to be me. You're not going to change me. And I might not change you, but I sure am going to try. You know, and I'm going to love you in the process.
So I've got a question about all this. I don't think I've actually ever asked this until now, because when Attack was the first album that I ever recorded on with Disciple, Josiah, I think it was, or did you do a little bit on Oh God?
I came in right when it was being released, so I did not do anything on it. No.
Okay, so for me, you know, I had auditioned for Disciple in October of 2013, and I think it was December when because Kevin asked me, because he was like, I think you've got the job. Do you want to play with us in Germany? And I couldn't, because I was on my last tour with After Edmund in Denmark. So I was in Europe while y'all were in Europe, just two different countries.
Yeah.
But I remember you guys
each other from miles away.
Literally. But you guys, I remember y'all sent me the demos for Attack and was like, get ready. We're recording
Yeah.
this album, and I'm over in Europe panicking because I'm
my
like,
gosh.
trying to finish up this tour, and I'm at the same time like, oh, I didn't know that they were going to throw me in on the record, and so like I'm over there just like trying to figure out drum parts. So I remember hearing Radical. So
I don't remember that at all. That's amazing.
yeah, so like I don't guess I've ever asked this. Where did the music come from? Because there was demos. So Joe,
Right.
was that you or was that
Yeah, so-
Jason?
Me, the three of us, me, Andrew, and Jason, were all still very new in the grand scheme of things. And I had made a couple of demos, just some
I
stuff
can
that I
tell
had
you-
written.
I can
But
tell you a good way to figure out who wrote the song. It's a very good way to figure out who wrote it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wikipedia.
If it's easy, and a 6-year-old can play it,
Kevin Young.
yeah, I wrote the music.
Yeah.
If it's
Okay.
complicated and if it's, got some thought put behind it, Josiah probably wrote it.
Yeah.
Well,
If it's
so-
really riffy and really, got some really strong disciple style riffs, Andrew probably wrote it.
Well, and that's
Uh,
actually very well illustrated in this song because Andrew did write the verse riff. That's the he
And then-
had that, and I was like, oh, that's cool. We can like have this
So,
more busy
The,
riff.
the opening riff, bam, bam, ba da na da na da na. That's me.
Yep.
And then
The chorus was you as well.
the chorus was me, and also we had this crazy idea of like it seemed revolutionary at the time because we really weren't sure how it was going to go. I had come from a worship leader, praise and worship background, and I just thought, this song, when you're talking about like my faith, it almost, like I'm going to believe this no matter what. And I'm going to stand for this no matter what, till the day I die, I'm going to be a radical. It's almost like when I'm performing something like that, that just makes me want to, kind of worship or have like this prayer moment, of where I'm like speaking directly to God or asking him and requesting something directly to God. And I was like, I feel like we need to have this praise and worship moment in the song. And in the middle of this rock song, in the middle of this song where we're screaming, in the middle of the song
Right.
where we're just like going off, right? And I remember just going to Josiah and just being like, I don't know if this is going to work. This may sound really stupid. This may sound really dumb, but I really want to try it. And so we threw in this worship moment in the song, and it's the highlight.
It worked
Yeah.
perfectly, basically, better than we probably could have imagined. I do remember that at first you were like, because I remember you had the idea to go to the major 1 chord for music people out there. And my thought was, well, what if we use what we've been using as the open minor root chord and make that the major? And so that was like my way of being like a little clever and doing a little key change, and then we can change it back as we build back to the heavy
See what
part.
I mean? See, there was thought put into it. That's how you can tell.
And I was I was like, it'll be a little lower, it'll be easier to sing. So there was just a lot of cool back and forth on that tune. And that it was kind of one where right away when you started singing the chorus on the Bus to Me or whatever, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like quintessential Disciple, but also like a smash. Like our fans are gonna love it. It says everything. That was one talking about track 1s from the last episode about First Love. It's like that was obviously track one. Like
yeah, for
right.
sure.
there was no debate. Like that
So,
was
Live
Clearly.
when that moment happens,
yes.
and we're saying not just my mouth, but let my hands speak the glory of God. That's what you're saying when you're talking about I'll be a radical till the day I die. It's not about what you say, and it's not about what you believe. It's about how you live. And so you're basically praying this prayer to God, the dog. You're basically praying this prayer to God and leading everyone in concert. So they're there in concert, and we're all praying this prayer together that let us leave this concert and let our actions speak louder. Let our actions be the thing that defines us as radical. Let my hands speak the glory of God. And it is really this moment every time we do it live, that it's just like, I forget everybody's there. We're leading, we're lifting up our hands, but it's literally, I'm praying that prayer for real every time we sing that song.
And that's what's so cool. I feel like it wraps up so much of what Disciples' message is in that 4 minutes. It's like, because what sets it apart is, so many songs that do talk about faith in a very bold and like not aggressive, but strong way. It's all of that. That's the singular emotion of a song normally. But to take it and contrast it with this, message of love, like, and tenderness almost, like, and that's Jesus, right? That's like those things balanced is what we're always trying to get across. And that's why we do this really heavy rock show. But then you always give this really, deep message about love in the middle of it, because it's like you can't, for us, we balance both. And so that song is that perfect representation, I feel like, of those elements.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it resonates so heavily.
And I actually remember, I think because the idea for the worship thing came in after I was in the band, because I remember, if I remember correctly, I remember you talking about it, and in the back of my head, I was kind of like, would that work? And like I was just kind of like, I don't know about this. And then once you wrote that part and it, like, we demoed it out and everything, I was like, dang, son, yeah, that's it. So
yeah, my brain works when we're writing a song. My brain is always going to, like, what's this going to sound like when we play it?
Mm-hmm.
Because I just I've been playing shows for so long, and I know when you write a song for just listening purposes, it's going to sound a certain way. But if you write a song for playing live, it's got to accomplish certain things. Like, how are people going to feel when in this part of the set when they're watching this or whatever, And it was like, I knew there was a good chance if we created this moment where people, like, connected with God and they forgot that the band was on stage and they actually began praying and they actually were lifting their hands and they actually were saying to God, Lord, not just my mouth, but take my hands, let my hands, speak the glory of God, that would be a moment that people would leave the show and it wouldn't be about Disciple anymore. It would be about this experience that they have with God. Like, I said, there's a good chance we're going to be able to capture this, and that's what I want to do with music, when we play live, is create those moments where people leave and their life has changed, forever.
Well, and what's cool about that is that's a song that, and not every song, even some of our best live songs, don't fit in this category. That's one that we've opened with, we've closed with, we've done as an encore, we've done as what we call like the post Dear X slot. Like, so there's like what I consider like the 4 like highlights of the set. Normally, that song has been in all 4 of those places, and
even rewritten it as its own worship song.
That's true. That's true. That's okay. Yeah, that's awesome, because I don't know. Awesome. I can't even remember where that idea came from, but we do have this worship side project that we are going to do at some point.
It has a major moment, call back to the song Radical in it. It was just an idea. It was like, I've always thought this part sounds like a worship song, but it's a very incomplete worship song. What if we took that part and finished it?
Fleshed it out, yeah. So if you've been doing it, okay.
Oh, it's been really cool playing that worship song version of it at acoustic shows and actually worship shows too, because we've done those. Sets. And because it's like a part 2, and if fans are or Disciple fans are there, because when the song starts out, you have no idea that that's coming, right. And then when it happens, like, you can see everybody's face kind of light up, like, oh, I know
this song.
Yeah. Shyamalan twist.
And so it's kind of been it's been really cool to see kind of like the Radical part 2. We call it Glory of God in the worship world, but yeah, it's been really cool to kind of see how a rock song has evolved into a worship song that's also connected with people in a totally different way, but with the same hook, it's really cool.
One other thing I was thinking, just back to the recording of the song Radical, Joe, thinking about you, was I'm pretty sure this is the first song.
I was scared to death.
Yeah, this is the song you were most scared of. No, I'm kidding. Not at all. Should have been.
But I think Attack was the one that I was scared of the most. And the name. Sorry, I'll let you talk now.
It's okay. No,
those have fast parts in it because Josiah writes those fast. Most of those are Josiah's handiwork.
Guilty.
They have fast parts in it, so that's why I get nervous.
Because I know that was the first song we started like guitars on was Radical. So that was the first song that I ever played on a Disciple record, was the riff to that song. And I can't remember if that was the first one we did drums on, but if it was, then it would have been the first time for sure that we all got to hear you like do something on a new, song and get to hear what you would contribute, because obviously we programmed very simple drums to that song. Right. And so to hear you do your 16th note, Joey signature fills, I feel like that probably was the first time that we were all like, ooh,
yeah. Well,
check that out.
Let's just be honest. I was terrified on every single song on that album because you guys had just hired me and I'm in the studio all of a sudden, like a way more professional studio than I've ever been in. You got Travis Wyrick sitting here, who is a freaking legend in the recording community. I'm sitting here looking at Kevin Young, someone I've idolized since I was in 7th grade. And I'm just
that's against the 10 Commandments. You shouldn't do
I was in 10th grade.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm sitting here doing this, and I'm like, they just hired me. What if I get in here and they're like, we have made the biggest mistake of our life, So that whole Attack album.
Welcome to Joey's mind.
But still, I was brand new. Like we had hardly even played shows.
That's true.
Like it was almost like we played like 1 or 2 shows, and it was like studio.
I don't remember that, man.
It was terrifying.
That's awesome. I'm glad you remember that, because I remember you recording that album and then going away and like making all these comments like, man, can you believe how awesome of a drummer he is? I don't remember that you were new, or it was one of the first things that you were doing with us. I don't remember that at all. I remember you playing it and walking away, just like us having side conversations while you weren't around, just like, oh my gosh, there's going to be stuff on this record that people have never heard because this drummer's so amazing.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, it was literally like I did those audition shows in October, and then I think we played 1 or 2 shows in January, and then we started. Wait, when did we record that album?
It was like February, March, April. We kind of did it over those because we were touring between. So
we didn't play many live shows before we hit the studio, and then the studio brings on this pressure because in the back of your mind you're like, every note that I'm playing right now is going out on a record to thousands of listeners. I was like, oh my gosh, there's
It may have went into May, and I'll tell you why it may have went into May of 2014.
Yeah.
Because there was always pollen on the ping pong table when we would play outside.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's right.
So it may have gone into May, and that's the only reason that's the only thing that would clue me in to that it was May and not April, because of the freaking Tennessee pollen.
It just made me remember all the videos I took of Josiah playing ping pong where he was like, "Go!"
That was a great impression. That's exactly right.
Dude, Josiah would get so animated if he lose a point.
If I can find those, we got to edit that into this video.
That'd be great.
They're on the Facebook page.
They're somewhere. One more thing I was gonna mention that was cool about Radical is the video. We haven't. It's one of the only music videos. Probably the only music video that Disciple 3.0 has ever done. But which is neither here nor there. But what was cool about it was the idea of we created this event and invited all of our fans to it and be like, you can be in the video if you show up in Kenosha, Wisconsin on this date. And so we had probably like 50 or 60 people, right, show up.
Yeah.
And that was so much fun because like just shooting a video is always cool anyway. It's a fun experience, but to have a lot of our like closest fans there and knowing they were going to be a part of it. And then we even played them because the album wasn't out yet. We played them like rough mixes of some of the songs and to get their instant feedback was just so cool. And the video was fun.
I have a good story about that music video shoot that most people would not know from watching the video. Do you guys remember when I split my finger open to the bone?
I do.
So, so the music video basically worked. We started in the morning and we did all the shots with just the band, and everything's going fine. Everything's cool. We take a lunch break, and then after that, we open the doors and let our fans come in that made the drive to be a part of it. First take, I don't know if it was because the energy in the room, I was just so stoked. I was just beating the absolute ever-loving crap out of the drums. And I came down and hit this knuckle on my index finger on the snare, and it split my knuckle you could see my bone, and like when it happened, I felt it in my eyeballs and in my toes. Like, I mean, that was like one of. It's kind of weird to say that a finger can be more painful than most other injuries I've had in my life, but I immediately like stopped, and I am just bleeding everywhere, and so we have to stop shooting. I have to go to the bathroom. There's a medic there who is like trying to clean it up. She's like, yeah, I don't know about this. Like, we might need to glue that back together. You might need stitches or whatnot. And another guy was back there helping me, and he was like, I used to be a nurse that delivered babies. And he's like, and that actually made me woozy. And so for the rest of that video, you can't tell it in the shots, but my finger is wrapped in gauze and like this ace tape or whatnot. Yep. And so I'm playing drums with my finger out for the rest of that video and all the crowd shots. And dude, it hurt so bad. It was not awesome.
What if some kid who like loves Disciple was just watched the video on YouTube and was like, oh, Joey plays with his finger out. I need to start doing that. Like, these kids are all learning how to play drums with their finger out because they're like, Joey plays that way. Don't
do that. That's the worst habit.
That's a great story. It's a great story.
And it's something no one would ever know unless you were there filming, because all the fans saw it because I was bleeding all over everything.
I'm glad you guys remember stuff like this. I have no memory of that. No memory of that. I remember the idea of getting all the fans to come out and how cool that was. And I wanted to kind of show where we had this shot in the video where we kind of just showed them, single shots. I really wanted a thing of, it turned into where it was just our fans, but I kind of wanted like a shot of just all of humanity. Mm-hmm. How Christ is just, he died for all of humanity. And I kind of wanted to show that, just the many different styles of human beings, from all continents and all cultures and all ages and genders and everything that makes us there. I wanted to kind of have a shot that represented anybody that would ever see the video, where they'd be like, oh, there's me. Because this song is not for people who like Christian rock. This song is for people who want to, live for Jesus. And so I wanted to kind of capture that. We didn't really get to make it that far.
Right.
Couldn't really get the director of the video to buy into the vision of that far. But at least we got, our fans,
Absolutely.
In the shot. Cool. So, and it's a very cool moment when you see them kind of saying the prayer and
engaging in it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a chill bump moment.
And that video was shot in Milwaukee, and we had people drive from all over. We even had some people drive from Washington State, Spokane, actually, to be in the video. It was Christy Marks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And her mom.
Yep. That's right. Awesome. So awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
That's radical.
That's radical.
Why didn't you drive me around the country, Mom?
To be in Petra videos. I think we just about covered it. So this is always like, I get to wrap up. This is one that we probably won't stop playing anytime soon. I don't know if this one will ever get a break or go to the sidelines. It's
probably not.
It's just always so good live and just so fun. So
what we need to do is either play it at half speed or double the speed to change it up for a live show.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. We could try that. We'll work on that.
It's definitely my favorite song to play live. And I think it's one of my favorite songs that we've ever done. And it's such a statement song, about, when you are a Christian and you want to live out your faith while no one's looking, and especially while everyone's looking, this is the song. It's just kind of a theme song. I've said it a lot. I feel like a disciple, what I want it to accomplish for someone is I want it to be the soundtrack of their Christian life, the soundtrack of before they knew Christ, of when they gave their life to Christ, and somewhere along the middle and all the way to the end, that we would have a song that kind of like represents somewhere on the timeline. It's always somewhere on the timeline of your journey or your walk with Christ. And this is one of those that hits the timeline of that moment in your walk with Christ of where you're just like, get over it. Like, I am making the decision. I am done being cool. I am done with whatever you think this is the stand that I make for me and my love for Jesus Christ, and nothing's gonna take that away from me.
Love
so
it.
good. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing left to say after that.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, y'all. Thanks for being part of the Rebel Society. We'll see you next time.